Alright, hey guys, hope you're doing well. I'm doing some testing here. I got a new camera set up, as you guys would have seen in the previous video, but today I just wanted to talk about driving economically, if that makes sense, like for fuel economy. And this goes for kind of everything, whether you get poor gas mileage, good gas mileage, you have an auto or a manual. I'll go over the ones that kind of cover both and then separate into auto versus manual near the end. But to start, like, I guess fuel efficiency, MPG, I feel like everybody considers a certain amount of MPG good and a certain amount of MPG bad. To me, like, I have targets that I like to aim for in each car. Like, I'm turning into a little video game where I'm like, oh, I want to hit this for that trip or whatever. But, like, honestly, also, it doesn't really matter. But there's a few things for driving economically. I think one of the biggest ones, well, I'll just start with the biggest one first. Lift and coast. See how all these people are braking, right? I know I'm going to have to brake. I just lift off the gas. I'm slowing down. And now, since I'm in a manual car, I can engine brake, which you can do in an automatic car too, but a lot of people don't. Either don't know how, don't know, or don't want to, which is fair. I usually don't in an automatic car unless if it's like a performance car. And it's like kind of designed with that in mind. But yeah, just lift and coast. I see so many people where it's either gas or brake, nothing in between. Right now, my foot's off the gas. Look at this. My foot is off the gas. And I'm slowing down, man. Like, that's how it works. That's how physics works. Because you got friction between the tires, friction between your engine and the tires, all that, you know? And rolling resistance, things like that will slow you down naturally. And I guess air resistance too if you're traveling at a high speed. But so many people just immediately slam into the brakes. This is also going to save your brakes because you don't need to brake, man. As much as you think, you don't need to brake. And there's a few different things that go into this, such as tailgating. If you give yourself enough space, you have time to react, so you can just let off the gas and just coast without having to brake. And when you're coasting, you use no fuel, like literally zero fuel, because the rolling of the tires goes through the transmission and then spins the engine. So on modern cars, the fuel injectors literally turn off and they're just spraying no fuel because they don't have to, because it's being turned by gravity. Or, well, not gravity, by your rolling. And then, also, if I adjust the camera, it's just because I'm getting used to it. So, bear with me while that happens. Another thing is to just, like in between lights, I usually lift and coast. So if I'm coming up to a light and it turns yellow, I'm just gonna lift. And sometimes people behind you don't really understand what you're doing because they don't see brake lights, but I just lift and I slow down to kind of like a reasonable speed. Like, I'd be reasonable about it, but a lot of the times what'll happen is that the light will turn green before I even stop. And then that's saving fuel because you don't have to start from a stop again. And yeah, you're not like idling, all that. Like, you're just saving fuel because you're just coasting. You're just coasting through. And it's just so easy peasy. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is throttle input. Basically, okay, so acceleration is the enemy to driving economically, pretty much. the more you accelerate, the more fuel you burn. And I've learned that it's less, like in driving a manual car, it doesn't really matter in an automatic car because you're not choosing that anyways. But in a manual car, it matters less which gear you're in from a fuel consumption standpoint than how much throttle you're giving. Like watch, okay, this is not good for the engine, but I'm getting 50 miles a gallon right now. I'm at 2300 RPM at 55 miles an hour. If I floor it, I do 14 mpg. Now if I go down to fifth, do the same, it's probably going to be less because I am using more fuel. It was actually 18, but basically throttle input matters more than which gear you're in, because right now I can also hang in fifth and I'm still doing 30 miles a gallon. Now the reason sixth is kind of an exception because it's a very it's a 1-to-1 in this car, so usually your taller gears are in overdrive. But like when you're just putzing around town, so this will be a harder example, but if I go to fourth, I was doing 25 just then, and I'm still doing 24 right now. Now it went down to 20 because I'm getting up this hill. But basically, gear matters to fuel, but definitely throttle input matters. Like if you go into sixth and mash it, you're still going to use a ton of fuel. Like that's just how it works. So I think just big towing, if you're trying to, save money, save gas, is just the best play. So what I mean by big towing is just being easy on the throttle, just being chill. Right now I'm using, I don't know, I'm giving it like 10%, 15%, and that's all I need to keep going. And if I do that same position, I was just getting 36. If I do that in here, I'm getting 31 in fifth, which is definitely a difference, but it's already high. My MPG is already high. If I do that in fourth, getting 22, because I'm at a really high RPM, so. But when you're at lower speeds, this makes more of a difference. But on the highway, just stick it in your tallest gear and just big toe it along. See, right now, I'm lifting because that guy's slowing down. Now, I'm not sure really why he's slowing down, but he's slowing down. And I'm lifting, and so what I don't need to do is I don't need to do this. Like, what I feel like a lot of people do, right, is they do exactly what I'm about to show you right here. They're on the freeway, they're accelerating to their desired speed, and then they just get right up in this guy's butt like this, and then they hit the brakes. And it's just like, bro, you're literally just wasting that energy. Like, I just wasted so much energy for no reason. What I'd rather do is, say if I want to travel at a higher rate of speed of this guy and I can't get around or whatever, like right now, I would accelerate to that high speed slowly. Like, if I don't need to get up to that speed super quick, then there's no reason to. Just chill, just take it easy. Like, it doesn't really save you much time by fucking flooring it everywhere you go. And there's an exception to this. Exception to this rule. If you are entering a freeway, match the speed of the traffic. It is not the traffic's job to let you in. It is your job to get up to the speed of the traffic. People be merging at like 45 when the people are going 65. Put your foot down and get up to speed, bro. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. That's why there always gets, it causes so many issues. But yeah, right now, I am accelerating. I am accelerating more than I was before, but I'm still doing 27 mpg, which is pretty good. So I'm big toeing it right now up this little hill because I want to save gas. I don't need to floor it. It's also not good for my engine at this RPM to floor it, but I don't need to put my foot in it all the time and be right up on that guy because it's not saving me any time. It does nothing for me. It wastes money. So, yeah, that's just important. Now, on to like automatics. So with lift and coast, I think on coast, you'll get further than my car will. Like, if we both started coasting at the same time, I'd probably stop before you would in an automatic, because sometimes they decouple the engine from the transmission and just coast forever, or, well, until the tires slow it down, or sometimes, like, they're just at such a low RPM that there's such little resistance and such little engine braking that, that nothing's really going on. You're good. So that actually is a positive, because that means you can just let off and just float, dude. You can just hang out. Also, you could put your car into manual, like manual mode or whatever. Use that to slow down with the gears, engine braking if you need to slow down quicker. Though, like, unless if you're in a performance car, I just kind of wouldn't recommend it. They're just not designed to do that. I would just coast and hang out. And then, what else about automatics? Trying to think of anything else for fuel economy. But yeah, just being light on the throttle, because then the gearbox tuning and all the computers are going to be like, okay, this guy's trying to be chill, and it'll upshift sooner. Because most gearboxes in their like standard tuning, if they're not in like a sport mode or any of that BS, they're just gonna upshift to the tallest gear as soon as possible, because they're also trying to, like, it's just for fuel economy, which it makes perfect sense. Like, if you don't need all that RPM, then just shift, so you're not putting as much into the drive line, so you can just hang out. Okay, here we go. I'm trying to figure this out a little bit. My bad. But yeah, that's it for automatics. Just like take it easy. Keep a constant or consistent throttle, not constant, but like a decently consistent throttle percentage. Don't go like this, just keep it like that. And you can tip in a little more if you need, but then just back off. Also, when you back off to coast, like, you don't have to back off all the way. Like, you don't have to coast completely. You can just lift off a bit. Like, it doesn't have to be on-off, Like, there's a reason that there's so much travel in a pedal, because, you don't need to be, like, not that you don't need, but you can be at whatever percentage you want, man. So, people don't need to be bah, 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 bah all the time. Like, right now, I'm chilling, bro. I'm getting up to speed. I'm behind some traffic, but I'm getting up to speed, and I'm just going through the gears. I'm good. Now, for manuals, there's a few things. I wouldn't recommend coasting in neutral, especially for long periods of time. There's a few reasons for this. One, you actually end up using fuel, technically. This depends on, I'll get to this. This is a deeper topic, because it depends on what you're doing. But two, it's kind of a safety thing. If you need to get going again, you're just not in a gear. So, like, it takes that extra however long to get into the gear. So I think it's better just stay in a gear. But when you're coasting and coming up to, like, so what I said about the whole coasting thing not being in neutral, when you're coasting in neutral, you are using fuel, because you're using fuel to turn the engine. Whereas in gear, that's not going to happen, because, like I said, it's using the gearbox to turn the engine. So, depending on how heavy your engine braking is, you can use less fuel if you time it right by, say, downshifting and coasting up to a light. So, I've actually started going into neutral more recently, which is weird. But because there would be these times where I'm down, like, I'm just a guy that I like the downshift when I come up to a light to slow myself down, just so I can use less brakes. I don't know, it's weird. I kind of just prefer it. That's just how I drive. But recently I've been like, I'm coming up to a light and it's on an uphill, and I downshift, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to give it more gas to get up this hill because I did it early. So, like, because of the engine braking, I would end up stopping the car before I need to stop. And in that situation, it would be better to go into neutral instead of downshifting to second or whatever, so that I can just roll up the hill instead of having to give it more gas, because giving it more gas is using more fuel than just sitting in neutral. If you guys follow that. So it's situation dependent, but I mainly stick in gear for my coasting. Also in manual cars, you can control how much you're coasting because you can choose which gear you're in for engine braking. So right now I'm coasting, adding a little bit of throttle and adding all that throttle back in so I can pull back up to speed with these guys. But also this place looks sick right now because there's all that Christmas crap going on. I love this little town up here. This is a town called Sandy in Oregon, headed up the mountain. Okay, here we go. Letting off, feeding the throttle back in a little bit, but I don't have to go like this, because why? Because it's traffic, it's just gonna slow back down again, man. So I don't have to go crazy. Just take it easy, take it chill. You don't have to be in that guy's butt. You're not gonna get anywhere quicker. That was also gay. So yeah. Yeah, see, now I'm coasting in neutral. Well, not in neutral, but the clutch is in. So that I could roll and then use the dab of brakes. But you also, in the manual, you obviously have more control. Like, that's the whole point. You have more control over your engine braking and stuff because you can pick how much you want to engine brake. So I usually engine brake in gear and then just pick whichever gear, like for the given situation I'd rather be in, to coast up to a light. Helps with brake life, helps with, mainly brake life. I don't really know if it helps with clutch life or anything. I mean, I know rev matching helps with clutch wear, obviously, but yeah, got to do more digging into that topic. But yeah, I think just keeping it easy on the pedal. You don't need to do anything insane. Like right now, giving it 10%, maybe 20%, and we're just heading up this hill. And we're fine. Look at that. Wonderful. And then also keeping your car also, okay, so this is more for manual cars, but keeping your car in the power band is important. I wouldn't want to do what I just did in 6th, because then I would just be lugging the engine and the engine would be crying and I wouldn't go anywhere, and it would be like, bah, like in a horrible way. Like, when you're lugging an engine, and it's not good for it because the engine just really doesn't like it, because you're asking a lot out of it and it doesn't have any to give. So I think that's an important factor. This thing's hurting my face a little bit. I gotta figure that out. But see, right now I'm low-key lugging my engine, so I'm gonna downshift. Give her a little more beans. This guy's going for it. Okay, see, if that guy didn't go for the pass, I think he would have been a ding-dong, because he just would have wasted all that energy coming up there and then just pouring the brakes on. I still think he could have done it better. I think he should have just done it all at once. But, being safe, I guess. What was I going to say? Still recording. Let's go. Feels unusual to be able to yap for this long at one go. But, back there, I was lugging the engine because I was at like 2,000 RPM in 6th going up a hill. So got to downshift, get back into that power band so that the engine can be happy. And also, I would have used this probably a similar amount of fuel anyways, trying to lug myself up there in 6th, than getting into 5th and just getting up it. Yeah. doing high numbers in my MPG right now. That is one thing I do love about this car. Its fuel economy is pretty ridiculous, though it has a tiny fuel tank. The fuel tank, I think, is like 11 gallons. That is minuscule. So, yeah, tiny car, I guess. Makes sense. Yeah. What else can I talk about with that situation? Yeah, it's all about acceleration. And if you're ever on a freeway like this, maintain your speed. You should never, like, if there is no reason to slow down, don't slow down, because you're wasting energy. Unless if you're going like, I don't know, 100 or whatever, and you're just burning through a ton of fuel, because cars have that like optimal point where they are designed to live in terms of fuel economy. But yeah, okay, see, right now is a perfect example. I am coasting. I'm off the gas. I am doing 99.9 mpg, whatever the hell that means. Now I'm going to give it a little more so that we can climb up this hill. Also notice, I started giving the gas on the downhill so that it could do less work on the uphill. I'd rather use less fuel to start the push when I have that momentum going, so that I don't have to use as much going up here. Like, I'm losing speed right now technically, but that's fine with me because I'm about to be up here. And I'm still getting 30 miles to the gallon, so can't even hate. But yeah, I think on the freeway, like on like a regular just straight highway, if you don't have a reason to slow down, you shouldn't slow down. If there's someone coming up and you're able to, just go around them. Like, you don't need to slow down for them. Just go around them. That is one thing I do like about cruise control, because you can just, you know, do your thing, whatever that may be. So yeah, like, you just, maintaining your speed is very important, because you end up using less fuel that way. If you just come up on someone, pour on the brakes, and then you have to accelerate back up again for whatever reason, then it's just that's dumb. You don't need to do that. Just keep your speed. See, okay, this is going to be interesting here, because this guy's turning left. So I'm easing off a bit, because I understand that guy's going to have to slow down. He gets a turn lane though, so he's chilling. And then we dip back into it a little bit, but I'm not going to go crazy right now because I know there's a downhill right here. Also, part of this is road knowledge. If you know where you are, obviously that's going to help. Because you can be like, oh, I'm going to take it easy on the uphill because the downhill's right here, and then I can gain all that speed back. Yeah, that's most of what I got to talk about. I think also one important thing, though, to note is that, like, don't do this to a degree where you're holding up traffic, because I've seen some, or I've had some instances where it's like, oh, I'm coasting, I'm slowing down between lights, and it goes green like way before I even get there, and I'm just going super slowly. I'm just crawling along. The guy behind me is just like, bro, what are you doing? So, you know, there's also instances like that where it's just like, yeah, you don't need to do that. You can give it a little more, you know. And it's all relative too, like realistically, I honestly don't know how much money you're saving, but like when I do drive more conservatively and just kind of chill, the fuel goes away slower than if I were to just be sending it everywhere. So, can't hate. I also think using hills to your advantage is the best. The best play. And I'm about to start coasting. so I can slow down and then head up this hill. Because there's a corner, so I don't want to go freaking flying on this. But I'm keeping my speed. I'm maintaining my speed. I have no reason to slow down here. On the freeway, if it isn't gridlock traffic, you should never have to put on your brakes. Ideally, on the freeway, you should never, ever, ever have to put on your brakes. Like this whole section of freeway, I haven't put on my brakes once. Because why? Why would I? Now I'm just cruising, still. But yeah, I hope the camera quality is noticeable. I'm still going to do some experimenting because this is not very comfortable right now. I need to figure that out because it's leaving a dent in my nose. I also need to figure out how the mic is doing, see how that's doing with audio, because it is going straight into the camera now. So I just want to see how that works. The editing workflow is going to be a bit different. I'm going to be able to color grade this footage, which is nice because it's shooting in log, which will be useful. And then, yeah, there's like some really great things about this. I just hope the quality is good, especially for low light. And yeah, I hope it's a reasonable and like noticeable difference. I think the big thing for me is I can talk for longer, which is the biggest issue that I had with my other camera, was the battery would always be dying. So, and I got things to yap about, man. I want to be yapping. And there'd be times where I'm like mid-talk and it cuts off and I'm like, dang, that's annoying. I'd rather that not happen. So, yeah, I'm gonna try and do some experimentation because I really like this camera. And I'm excited to keep using this setup and tweak it and fine tune it. But yeah, thank you guys for coming along with me today. I'll close out this video when I pull up to my residence. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. If you have any ideas for videos in the comments or whatever, let me know. Keep me updated, in the loop with all that. And if you guys have any thoughts, any things I didn't mention about driving, lifting and coasting, and fuel economy, all that kind of stuff, other practices that you do to save fuel, yeah, just keep me posted on that. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. I will see you guys in the next one. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, whatever you got going on. And yeah, let me know what you want to see. See you guys later. Not sure what that guy's doing there. Might be an officer. Would not be surprised. This is my exception to the coast in neutral thing. I coast in neutral here. Dude, I low-key gotta pee, man. I'm not gonna lie. And my nose hurts. I think what I need is a tighter hat so that it pulls, because my head isn't really doing any of the work here. It's all on my nose. So I need to figure that out. There we go. Cool. Hell yeah, brother. Okay. Cool. We have made it. Well, I will see you guys later. I hope you have a good rest of your night. Good machine, huh?